Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Coffee with Chris. As a parent, one of the more difficult things you have to do with little children is you have to give them a chance to learn how to walk. And it normally works like this. You take your child when they're real young, you set them on a piece of furniture and they kind of scooch their way around, but then it comes to a point where they want to start to walk on their own. They want to get away from the furniture that's operating like training wheels, and they want to begin to put one foot in front of the other. So you take your little child who you love, who you've been taking care of for the last year or so, and you place them in the middle of the room, and you kind of let them stand on their own. And you know what's going to happen. So they're going to start taking a few steps and then they're going to fall. And of course, it's the end of the world. There's a lot of crying and things like that. But then after a while, they begin to take their little steps and learn how to walk. And usually along the path, they meet up with a coffee table or a piece of furniture, and they bonk their head, they hit their hand, they bump their knee, and there's tears everywhere. But if the child is going to learn how to walk, they need to learn how to recover from falling down and getting up. And we in our Christian faith often experience pain and difficulty and darkness. And very often in those times, we go, where's God? Why isn't God protecting us from everything that goes on? And here in Psalm 10, verse 1, I'm going to read it to you. The psalmist is dealing with this very issue that we deal with in every aspect of our lives. And here's the verse. It says, "Why, Lord, do you stand afar off? Why do you hide yourself in times of trouble?" And here's the psalmist saying, I'm going through a difficult time. I've fallen down. I've hit my head. Maybe I'm bleeding. Maybe I'm in a rough time. God, where on earth are you? And sometimes in those times we feel like God doesn't love us, that God doesn't appreciate us, that God's voice in our ear is deaf, it's silent, we can't hear it. But we need to understand that God is always around us. And we need to also understand that God respects the freedom of will that He's given to humanity. So a lot of the things that we're experiencing that might be difficult are of our own making. There are providential things that happen that go our way, and that bad things just come our way. I get that. I've had them happen in my life. But sometimes we need to back up and we need to say, what was my role in this? Maybe I just wasn't paying attention and I ran into a piece of furniture. But also what we need to understand that in all the difficult times in our life, even the most tragic ones, God has a purpose in why we suffer. None of us or no part of our life as a Christian is ever in vain. We know that God uses suffering because Jesus suffered. Jesus suffered, period. And we know that even though we don't know the reason why we are suffering, maybe we won't understand why we're suffering, we know that God has a purpose in it. Job, at the end of everything that he went through, he went to God and he said, why? And God said, you just won't understand. He says, where were you when I built all this stuff? Where were you? And he's saying, the wisdom that I'm functioning on, you just won't understand. Now, it sounds like a cop-out answer, but it's not. It's what we need to understand is that even though we don't understand the reasoning, there is one. There always is a reason for the pain that we go through. We might not understand it. I heard Woody Allen once say, as a boy, he said to his father, "Dad, why is there a Hitler?" And he asked his mother that, and his mother said to the father, "Your son is asking why is there a Hitler?" And his father said, "I don't understand how a toaster works, and you want me to explain to you why there's a Hitler?" And then honestly, we ask these huge questions, and we're asking questions that we couldn't understand even if God explained it to us. So I want you to rest assured, whether you're going through a difficult time right now, or maybe you're just going through a time where God feels distant from you. God is not someone you could run away from. He's omnipresent. He's where you're going, and He's where you're at, and He's where you've been. You can't get away from Him. So though you feel that way, your feelings aren't correct. Your feelings aren't right. And though you might feel like there's no reason for why you're going through what you're going through, I'm going to tell you, as a Christian, nothing is wasted by God, and there's a purpose in everything you do. So I want to encourage you today, in your time where you feel like God's far away, in your time of darkness and suffering, I'm not dismissing your pain at all. All I'm saying is evaluate why you're there, try to learn something while you're there, and always understand that God doesn't waste a minute of your life and even your pain. Though you might not understand why you're going through it, there is a purpose for it. So be encouraged today. God is with you. God's on your side. and God has a purpose in everything that we go through. So God bless you today.